The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash. Today we're talking to Jarel Davidow. He is the new artistic director of the Lake George Dinner Theater, also known as Lake Theater. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about their upcoming season, which starts this July. They're going to be doing 2 plays, Hounds of Baskerville's Lunch with Mrs Baskin. So welcome, Jarel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And I just want to say one quick thing before we start. Like most professional actors, I'll give you a little bit of your resume. It's way too long to probably go into it all.
Sure.
He's been everywhere. Like I said, like most actors, New Jersey, New York. He started in New York City, a founding member of the Oberon Theater Company. He's been to the Edinburgh, California, the New England Shakespeare. I could go on, but is this is a typical theater professional's life, being everywhere?
If you're lucky, yeah. If you're lucky enough to work, it takes you to a lot of different places, which is always a lot of fun.
So for this Lake George Dinner Theater, you're the new artistic director. You're no stranger to that little company. You've been there since 2012 as an actor.
Yes, 2012 was my first year working there as an actor. I did a play called The Love List, written by a hilarious Canadian playwright named Norm Foster, which is actually a play I did in New York City 3 years before that. It was the New York City premiere of that play. And then a couple of years later, Terry Rabine, who was the artistic director of the company, was auditioning for it. And since I had done the play, I went in for it and got cast, and it brought me up to this area for the first time.
You're sort of from, you said White Plains. So you know the area. You've been up there since 2012. So why did you, or how did you, take over as artistic director after being one of the players for 4 or 5 years?
Well, so
this is your second season.
It's my second season as artistic director. Right. Yeah. So I started in 2012, like I said, with the Love List, and then the next year they did a play called Moonlight Magnolias, which is a wonderful play about the making of the movie Gone with the Wind. Okay. And that's another play that I had done before in a theater in New Jersey. So Terry asked me to come back on board and play a role in that production, which I did. And then the next year they didn't have anything for me. They did a play called Lake Effect, and there was no part that was right for me. The following year we did a play called The Complete Works of
I've heard
Shakespeare.
Of that.
Which is a hilarious production.
I've seen that.
They condense all 36 Shakespeare plays into 90 minutes.
Yes, I've seen it. It's very, very fun, very fast-paced.
Yeah, exactly. So I did that, and after that, Terry asked me if I'd be interested in directing for them. And I said, yeah, sure. So the next year, I directed another Norm Foster play called The Great Cooshog Lake Hollis Macaulay Fishing Derby.
Okay.
Long title, but a sweet and funny play. And then after that, Terry, he'd owned the theater since 2008, and he wanted to start taking a step back and asked me if I'd be interested in taking over as artistic director.
So you actually moved up to Glens Falls, right?
Yes.
All right. So is that a big move for you, or?
It was. I mean, I lived in New York City for 20 years, and it was nice, and I, had a good run there. But the city was starting to get old for me, and I really fell in love with Glens Falls and the Adirondacks and Lake George, and so it was a natural move for me.
And I should say, people may have, right here in Colonie, the Curtain Call Theater, Jarel just directed a comedy of tenors. You saw that. So you guys, you're obviously, again, like I keep saying, like most theater people, you got a million jobs probably, but you were doing that. You also got a little side job teaching theater at Adirondack Community College. Right.
It's known as SUNY Adirondack now. They used to be Adirondack Community College, and I think it was 2 years ago they became part of the SUNY system. Okay. So they're still SUNY Adirondack. They're still, I think, they go back from ACC to SUNY, but yeah.
So Lake George Dinner Theater, also known as Lake Theater. Tell us about how you got involved in that. You're going to artistic director. You're doing 2 plays this year.
Yes.
Hounds of the Baskervilles, a new comedy. Lunch with Mrs Baskin. They don't start till July, but you can go to the website. The website is laketheaterproductions.com. It'll be on the screen. So I noticed on your webpage, other than yourself, you have a staff of one. So how do you put these, put these productions on?
Yeah, we're a small operation. Well, it's just like a year-long staff of just the two of us. When we go into production,
I would hope you'd have more.
We got to bring a few more people on board.
Well, do you use? Is it more like community theater, or is it you have equity actors?
No, we're an equity house. So I'm a member of equity still.
Tell people what that means, because some people don't know the difference.
Sure. So Actors Equity Association is the professional theater actors union, and there's lots of ways to get into it. You can build up points by working with different equity theaters around the country, or you can just get cast in an equity production, and you can join the union, and it's a professional actors union. In April, I'll be going down to New York City to have what they call EPAs, which are equity principal auditions, and that's where I find most of my actors
to bring up to Lake George.
Yeah. So I like to hire local actors as well, and there's a few equity actors in the area that I'll have local auditions at the end of March at Skidmore College. I'm joining forces with Saratoga Shakespeare on March 30th.
Okay.
And we'll be having local auditions for equity and non-equity actors, because I do hire both.
So you're going to be involved in with Saratoga Shakespeare too?
Not that I'm working with them. We're just having our joint auditions.
So is Lake George Dinner Theater? I don't know if it's the right term. Is it an equity house?
Yes, exactly.
So people will be seeing professional theater.
Yeah. I mean, they hired me out of New York City back in 2012.
Right. Very good.
And
I know
last year I had 6 actors, then they all were hired out of New York City.
So I know you just did Curtain Call. They sometimes have an equity actor or two, or is it all community?
No, that's a community theater, and so they just hire local community actors, and we rehearse nights and weekends. I mean, like for example, when we're working, this is we're paying people a pretty good living, and it's a professional job, and so we only rehearse 2 weeks, but straight through. For Curtain Call, I rehearsed 5 weeks, just nights and weekends, because everybody has a day job.
So when you're in the professional theater, that's their job.
Right.
You're not rehearsing for 5 weeks at night when people get out of work.
Exactly. No, we rehearse 10 to 6 every day for 2 weeks and put the show together in 2 weeks.
So before we talk about the upcoming season, they've been up there for like 50 years.
This will be our 52nd season.
Can you just give a little history, and then we'll go right into this year's productions?
Yeah, so they started, Lake George Dinner Theater originally started as Tower Hall Productions, I think was the name of their original name, and they performed out of a place called Towers Hall in Lake George. And they did that, so in 1967 it started, and then the Holiday Inn up in Lake George asked them if they wanted to come there, and it was 1975, I believe, and dinner theater was very popular back then. So they Towers Hall moved to into the Holiday Inn and formed Lake George Dinner Theater. So it started as Towers Hall, became Lake George Dinner Theater, and it's been at the Holiday Inn since 1975. I think it's been an equity house since 1976 or 78.
I should just tell people, you just go up to exit 21. Take a right and then a left. It's right there in the Holiday Inn.
It's right off the highway, right? Yeah, we're located right in the Holiday Inn. We sort of take one of their conference rooms and convert it into a dinner theater for the whole
So it's been around for a long. So when you were there since 2012 acting, before you took over, what do you get? Do they get nice crowds? Is it popular up there?
Oh yeah. It's great. We do 7 shows a week. So we do a matinee on Tuesday, 2 shows Wednesday, 2 shows Thursday, Friday night and Saturday night.
Okay, and then for the afternoon ones, do you call yourself Lake George Lunch Theater?
It'd be fun to change the name, but no, we're still dinner theater. Okay. We just serve it a little earlier.
All right, very good. So this year's production, the first one it's about a 7-week run. It starts July 11th.
Yep.
Goes to August 31st. Hound of the Baskervilles. Now, there's many adaptations.
There is a lot of adaptations.
How is this one a little different?
So this is a comedic take on the old Sherlock Holmes story, and it's 3 actors playing all the parts.
Right, so for those people watching that might know, it's kind of like the 39 Steps when they...
It's very similar to 39 Steps.
That's a funny play.
Yeah. Very funny play, as is this.
So this adaptation, it takes all our
Takes all
all our conceptions we have of Watson and Holmes and the kind of
right. It takes all the characters, Watson and Holmes, and it's the play starts off. You see Charles Baskerville on his estate, and he comes out with a lantern, and you hear a dog come on, and he falls dead, and then Dr. Mortimer, who was his doctor, goes to Sherlock Holmes and asks him to see if he can solve the puzzle of what happened.
Now I know
so it's 3 actors switching parts all the time.
So I know the novel. Now, how do they? You don't have to give anything away, but how do they make a comedy out of it? 'Cause it's not really the original.
The original story is a Sherlock Holmes mystery. So we turn it into a comedy because it's 3 actors switching parts. So men are playing women can be playing men, and one actor can be 2 different parts in the same scene, ripping off a dress and putting it back on and switching roles, and there's a lot of comedy built in because it's also the convention of the 3 actors are playing a version of themselves trying to put this production on.
So that all right. So it does kind of sound like 39 Steps.
It's very similar.
So
to
have you ever done
Steps.
anything like that? I know you're.
Well, so in 2015,
you as an actor, I mean.
Yeah, in 2015 when Lake Theater did the complete works of Shakespeare.
Oh, that's right.
Very, very similar. It's 3 actors trying to do all 36 Shakespeare plays in an hour and a half. So that was the same thing. A lot of switching parts. And
so what made you pick this one? Do you obviously you have a say in what they picked?
Yeah. I choose the season in conjunction with our board of directors. I sort of choose a bunch of plays and submit them to the board of directors, and and then we all talk about it. And so this is what we landed on.
Is this adaptation sort of new, or is it?
No. It was originally it was originated by a theater in London called peopleLikeUs.com, which is sort of a clowning company. And I'm not sure when the play was written, but I saw it actually in this area in 2012 at the Depot Theater when I was up here doing the Love List at Lake George. I went to see a production, absolutely hilarious. I mean, I was doubled over with laughter pretty much the whole way through. And so I always remembered it, and it fits our theater company really well because we're a small house, so we can't do large cast musicals or anything like that. So with 3 actors putting on a play like this, it just fits us perfectly.
No, I don't know if it was in your webpage or an article I read about your company. Do you try to stick with more comedies and romantic things, or do you?
We pretty much only do comedy. It's hard to do Ibsen when people are eating dinner. People want to laugh in the summer.
You don't want to be doing Beckett or anything.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, obviously, people would enjoy it. I mean,
we have patrons that have been coming back, for years and years, and they come to see us every year. And we just released our early bird ticket form, which you can find on our website online, and you can buy early bird tickets for I think 20% off the ticket price. And a lot of people do that without even knowing what the plays are.
Now, do you pick your dinner with the ticket, or do you do that when you get there? I think there's a menu thing on there.
There's a menu. We have 4 different options, which actually I can't remember because that's not my end of the company, but it's very good food that the chef at the Holiday Inn prepares special for us. And you pick your dinner when you buy your ticket, and it's kind of like going to a wedding. You pick your meal.
No, I haven't been to a dinner theater in years, but I think they were very popular in the 70s.
They were hugely popular in the 60s and 70s. There are now only 9 professional dinner theaters left in the country.
And this Lake George is one of them.
We are one of them, and we are the smallest, most intimate one.
Okay, and how many seats do you have again?
About 115.
So what do they just take the tables away and then watch the play?
No. Everybody sits at the tables.
You watch
you sit at the tables. Right. You have your, seating is at 6:30 or 11:30 for lunch, and then you're finished with your meal. All the plates and everything is cleared by the time the show starts. You can have coffee on the table, order a drink from one of our great wait staff, and enjoy the show.
That sounds like fun.
It is. It's a really fun night. It really is.
Or afternoon.
Right. Yeah. So actually, our because of our clientele, we have a lot of folks from the senior communities come to see us. So it's the only theater I've worked in where the matinees are more popular than the
really?
shows. We'll do a sold out matinee and then a show for maybe 60, about half a house at night sometimes.
Wow. Okay. So your second play is going to be from September 12th through October 19th.
Correct.
I think I've heard of this play. Tell us about it. Lunch with Mrs. Baskin.
Yes.
Sounds like a a fun kind of the setup. I mean, I'm reading the little setups.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds very.
No, it's a really sweet, funny, romantic comedy. Lunch with Mrs. Baskin is about an elderly widow who likes to invite salespeople to her apartment just for the
Company.
for the company and conversation. And two young salespeople, a young man and a young woman, happen to come to her apartment.
She never
at the same
buys
time.
anything, right?
She never buys
That's
anything.
right.
She lives in an apartment, and the first salesman is a garage door salesman, and the second young woman who salesperson sells solar panels for houses. But she lives in an apartment, so she invites them over anyway, just because she likes the company. And they meet. They meet cute, and they sort of not interested in each other. But Mrs. Baskin thinks they belong together, so it's a bunch of machinations through the course of the show that she brings those two young people together.
Now
It's really funny comedy.
Is that sort of an older play? It sounds like...
It was written, it's not too old. I think it was written about 10 years ago. It's been done a little bit regionally. It hasn't had a lot of production. It's sort of a hidden gem that I found because I'm a fan of the playwright.
Okay.
Sam Bobrick, I did a play of his in New York City years and years ago, and I always remembered him as a funny writer. So when I was looking, I try to find things sort of off the beaten path.
off their ones that haven't been done before.
Right. So I found, I read a lot of his plays, and this one struck me as the funniest, and so that's what we landed on.
So you're going to be doing auditions for both plays in New York City? Is that what you...
Yes, we're going to have local auditions on March 30th at Skidmore College, and that'll be announced. That'll be announced on several websites. But there's a great local casting assistant called Capdist Listserv, which is just basically an email service that all the local auditions, whether it's equity or non, even short films announced there. So we'll be announcing it on there. It'll be at Skidmore College on March 30th, and then April 22nd and 23rd, I'll be in New York City doing equity auditions.
Both plays are 3-person plays?
Lunch with Mrs. Baskin is 5 characters.
5, okay. So you may get a little... So when you do this, the actors come from New York. Do they like coming 200 miles away or whatever it is?
I think so, yeah. I mean, everybody's a little different, I suppose, but, who doesn't like Lake George in the summertime?
Well, that's what you did. I should go back to the beginning. You
did
this for a living. You went over
yeah. It's, actually, when I was a kid, I went to camp up in Lake George for 6 summers in a row. I went to a Boy Scout camp up in Hague, which is on the north end of Lake George. So I spent a lot of time in Lake George as a kid, so when I got cast in here, it was kind of like coming home again. It was really nice. So
you're come back home a bit.
Yes, exactly.
So one of the other things you do, so that's the season. Now, it'll be on the screen here, laketheaterproductions.com. Hound of the Baskervilles, July 11th through August 31st. Dinner theater or lunch theater. Lunch with Mrs. Baskin. Both plays sound very... And you know both plays.
I'm going to be directing both of them.
Have you seen Lunch with Mrs. Baskin performed ever?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, that's
just a play that I've read that I really liked and said, I think this will work for us really well.
Oh, good. So one of the things you're bringing to the North Country, as they say, besides running the theater production, you're getting involved with the community through the college and the people, bringing the arts to the people. And tell us a little bit about that experience.
Sure. Well, so for the first time last season, I should say, with Lake George Dinner Theater, I started an internship program. So we had 8 local kids. 6 of them were from SUNY Adirondack, and 2 of them were just local kids that had just graduated high school that were involved in local theater productions, and they were our interns for the summer. So they helped us build our set and light our lights.
They may not necessarily be on stage, but they learn.
Our first internship program was on stage. I produced a children's theater show of something that I did about 20 years ago. A company called the Shoestring Players that I was on tour with. I did a national tour with them in 93, 94. And it's very similar to Hound of the Baskervilles, where the actors play many different roles, and it's very quick moving, and it's great children's theater. And so I wanted to bring that up to this area. So our intern company they were both technical and on stage. They built our sets, hung our lights, and then they did a children's theater show for 8 weeks.
But that's a way for them to learn if they want to be in the theater, because there's many jobs in the theater world that aren't acting. Is that?
Oh, it's many, many more jobs that are, yeah, absolutely. The tech is the real star of any show.
I know, and
it's just not seen.
Behind the scenes.
Right. Set builders and set design, light design, costume design, sound design, plus all the set building, carpentry, all the functions that go into making a show.
So what is this that you're doing now with the community?
Right. So I got a relationship with SUNY Adirondack, and then when my season ended last year, they asked me if I'd be interested in directing for them this year. And since we're just a summer, we just produce in the summertime, so my springtime is free. So I said, yeah, I can do your spring show. So we're doing a production of Neil Simon's Biloxi Blues that we're in rehearsal with right now, and that runs May 11th through the 14th. April.
They're all college students.
Yes, they're all college kids. Yeah. SUNY Adirondack college students.
Okay. April 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Correct.
And April 14th.
Right. Sunday, we will end with a Sunday matinee, and it's a great old Neil Simon comedy about his semi-autobiographical about his time in the Army.
But are you doing stuff with the community too? I think I read that you're.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been getting more involved with work in the community. I mean, Curtain Call was certainly one of them, and SUNY Adirondack is an outreach program that I'm getting involved with, and hoping to do another internship program this summer in connection with them. I just finished a production with a group called Art in the Public Eye, which is a great artistic company in Glens Falls, and we did what's called the 24-hour plays. Which
you were telling me about that.
Right. So that was a great artistic endeavor. They do it every year, and they get a group of about 40 artists. They get 9 writers, 9 directors, and about 36 actors. And on Friday night, everybody gets together at 7 o'clock. You choose teams just by picking names out of a hat, and a writer that I've never met before, and then I got paired up with 3 actors that I never met before, and the writer has to go off Friday night and write a 10-minute play from 7 o'clock at night, has to hand it in at 5 o'clock the next morning. We got the directors and actor come in at 7 o'clock the next morning, read the 10-minute play for the first time, rehearse it through the day, and then that night you put on the show, and it's 9 10-minute plays.
So did you get a big crowd for that? Was that?
Yeah, I think we had, this crowd was about 150 people this past Saturday night.
Glens Falls is becoming a hotbed of theater.
There's a lot happening. Yeah, it really is.
Well, I think our area, the Capital District, I don't know how familiar with, or you've been Curtain Call, but there's a lot of theater down around.
There is an awful lot of theater in this area. One of the things I love about it.
Besides Professional down at Cap Rep, and you guys, you're farther up, but there's a lot of other
There's
companies.
so much community theater, and really good community theater. I mean, Homemade Theater is a great house, and Glens Falls Community Theater is a great house, which I've done a little work with them, just like teaching a seminar here and there, or a workshop here and there. There's so much great theater on all different levels throughout the area.
So how do you have time to do all this? I mean, you're involved. It sounds like 10 different groups here.
It's just keep my fingers in a lot of different pots. That's all. It's to me, it's just fun. I mean, I love doing it. And when the summer comes, I'll be hip deep in Lake George Dinner Theater and just working on that for our whole season, because I'm directing both shows and keeping the whole thing running throughout the season.
So I have a serious question for you.
Okay, I'll put my serious face on.
So I go to theater a lot, and a lot of people in our area supports it. What's the why do we need the arts?
Oh, that is a good serious question.
I think without getting all political or anything, why, just as a human society?
Sure. Well, I mean, to start with, arts is just entertainment, and I think particularly these days it's important to keep laughing. Right, no matter what side of the aisle anybody's on, it's important to keep laughing. So we do comedies at Lake George Dinner Theater, and it's a politics-free zone at Lake George Dinner Theater. But the arts are important, I think, because I always remember, you remember the Robin Williams movie, Dead Poet Society?
Yes.
So he had a great line in that, talking about poetry, that, business and law and medicine, these are all noble pursuits and necessary to keep us alive, but arts is what we stay alive for.
Yes.
And I think that's a lovely sentiment.
I think you quoted him exactly there.
I'm a big fan of that movie. Yeah.
But it is, I always think, when you're in a theater, no matter what size theater, big, small, Broadway, once the lights go down, just that one moment before everything starts, like a great feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it's the one place that's. I mean, there's other places, I suppose, but it's a place that is communal. You know, if the lights go down and a room full of strangers are about to have a common experience.
Yes, and it's
and they'll laugh and they'll cry, or you know, they'll have a reaction, whatever that reaction is, and you all share it together as a community, and that's really important to keep alive.
And from someone who's been on the end of the actor, it's different every time, isn't it?
It's absolutely different every time. Yeah, that's what keeps it.
How can that be?
It keeps it alive. I mean, you know, keeps you on your toes. And you know, I did a show, my second show at Lake George Dinner Theater, Moonlight Magnolias. We were on stage. It was the middle of Act 1, and the director of the show, in the middle of the show, stepped up onto the stage and said, "I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we have to stop. We have a medical emergency in the audience." Unfortunately, he was fine. Let me just preface this, but there was a man in the audience that was having a heart attack.
Oh, okay.
And so we stopped the show in the middle of the show, and you know, EMTs came in. They took care of him. They took him to the hospital. He was fine. We took a 20-minute break. You know, we went backstage until everybody settled down. We came back on stage and picked up the show from right where it left off.
Do you back up a little, or just?
We backed up. We actually backed up a little, and when, like I said, that play was about the making of Gone with the Wind. So the actor who played Davidow starts his monologue, which was I think his first line was, "In the beginning was the deal," which is a line they'd already heard before. And as soon as he said that, the audience erupted in applause. You know, because it was a live theater moment. It's something that, you know, only those people got to experience that night.
I can imagine you have 1,000 stories like that.
I do. Yes. When I was doing New England Shakespeare Festival, it was an outdoor festival that we toured, and one evening in the middle of the show, it started a downpour, and there was a gazebo in the middle of the park that we all ran to, and the audience ran to the gazebo too, and we said, well, we can finish the show, but you know, we're in the gazebo. So the audience said, yeah, finish the show. So the actors were in the gazebo, the audience surrounded it with their raincoats on. We handed out flashlights, and we said, because our lights were gone, because lights were out in the middle of the field and it was raining, so we handed out flashlights to the audience and said, just point them wherever you want. So we finished the show in the middle of the gazebo in the round with the audience surrounding us.
Just more or less reciting the lines, or
reciting the lines and doing as much of the blocking as we could do, and you know.
What play was that?
That was Comedy of Errors.
Oh, all right, well, perfect. I mean,
it was perfect, actually. It was absolutely perfect.
Oh, good. Well, this sounds exciting, and it's nice talking to you. I'm a big theater fan. I'd like to go, so this is great.
Yeah. What's the last show you saw?
The last show I saw.
Now I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes. I can't think.
Okay.
I went to Stratford last summer and saw a bunch, like Coriolanus.
Yeah.
Might have been the last one.
Okay. I've never been to Stratford on Avon. I've always wanted to go there.
Stratford up in Canada.
Stratford up in Canada, excuse me.
Yes,
right. But the Shakespeare Festival up there.
Oh, you should go there. It's great.
I've heard nothing but I'm a huge Shakespeare nut,
so they do a good. So yeah, you put me on the spot.
Coriolanus is a good one.
I'd be terrible at improv. So that's Lake George Dinner Theater.
Right.
Lake Productions, laketheaterproductions.com, all the info. Hound of Baskervilles, a new comic take, starts July 11th, followed by Lunch with Mrs Baskin, starts September 12th. And you can get food and have a great time. And you're very enthusiastic, Jarel, so maybe we'll get some people to come up from down here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Have you noticed, are there many from the Capital District?
Oh, yeah. We get a lot of, I've also hired actors out of Albany.
All right, so there's probably people down here that have heard of.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. We get people from all over the capital area.
Very good. Well, thanks for coming down.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Sure. And we'll see you next time on Getting to Know You.